The weekend of footy, and it was the 6th worst weekend in footy in terms of average margins.
No.
We were starved of good footy. We got one good game, but the ladder, two good games. Yep. But the ladder is looking like this. And at the moment, there is probably only 4 sides that you think are safe in playing finals. And surprisingly, all final 8 positions are up for grabs. We don't know who's going to finish first. The top 4's got a fascinating look about it.
Yeah, they all won. They didn't do themselves... they certainly didn't knock themselves around their chances, did they? They all won. All the teams that had to win, they did win. So they kept their seasons alive in the top 8 sides. But there's such a discrepancy between the top 9 and the bottom 9. You just need to go to look at the AFL website. The last 5 weeks of form line, it's a lot of green for the top 9 and a lot of red for the bottom line, and that's been the issue. But it's going to be a great race for that final spot.
And the haves and the have-nots at the moment. And it probably reminds us of how difficult it is when you know your season is over, you can't play finals, you go through that adjustment period. We'll have a look at it, the Essendon and the North Melbourne sides, how many young, inexperienced players are playing in big batches. And that's why you get the discrepancy in the scoreboard, because there's, the talent on the field is so disparate.
Does it pose a bigger issue, do you think? Like, I watched the weekend and I couldn't help to think that the lack of talent that's being spread across, we've had 2 expansion sides in the Gold Coast Suns and the Giants. Now, they're finally coming good, and you might not like this, but Tasmania, I understand the reasons why, but is this just going to be par for the course of... There are going to be 6, 7 sides every single year that are non-competitive, and for a long time.
I don't think it's a lack of talent per se, but it's because on an AFL list you need to be ready for the now, and the bottom third of your list is trying to prepare for 5 years down the track. When that bottom third gets exposed, that's when you see that apparent lack of talent. Because there are 24, 25-year-olds in the country that would perform better than some of the 18, 19-year-olds that are there, but they're 2 or 3 or 4 years away from becoming who they're going to become. So we are both a high-performance sport and a development sport at the same time, and that doesn't happen very many other places in the world.
A fascinating watch for the back part of the season is it looks like someone is going to win 15 games and finish 9th and miss finals.
Well, if Giants win this weekend, it makes it a little bit more predictable to keep the Dogs down outside the 8. Yeah. That's going to be a big task.
Big start to the week.
Let's talk about one of the good games from the weekend. It was the miracle at Marvel. And what an incredible finish. And there is 2 different lenses to look at this. Let's go down the St Kilda path early. And it was an incredible finish, and it is literally a miracle.
Well, it is. I mean, anyone watching that game, I had the game at the MCG, so got back home to watch the second half, and I was sitting with a few Melbourne supporters, so that was quite an enjoyable watch. But I think you're right. It was the tale of 2 halves, and from a historical point of view, it was the biggest comeback ever by a side at a 3/4 time margin. So the way that they did it was extraordinary in terms of the positions that the players played, and we'll speak about the wings. The wings got dragged out right from the start to create midfield space. They're the numbers, and they're the indication of why they were able to win. But I thought it was a side that needed signs early, and in my opinion, Melbourne aided that by the decisions that they were making. Cozzy Pickett coming in back into the corridor, turnover goal. Jack Viney coming back into the corridor, turnover goal. So they were aided by Melbourne, but boy, that was an exciting 4th quarter of footy.
The Saints they looked like a Ross Lyons Saints in the first 3 quarters, and Ross Lyons being a slow defensive coach, and then all of a sudden the shackles were broken free, and we were all living in Nasiah's world.
Well, he keeps increasing his value and probably the importance to St Kilda's football club. But this is just a bit of an example, and this is not typical of St Kilda. Certainly wasn't in the first half, but the players that were setting themselves up for transition didn't get sucked over to the contest, which meant they could fill all those lanes that you see across the ground. And once you get the ball in the middle, and especially in the hands of Nasiah, you can make options. Do you go the other side or do you go skinny side? So all these plays require a little bit of luck, whether that's finishing, whether that's skill execution, whatever it might be. But they set themselves up in a way that allowed them to attack and became unpredictable.
Why? Why does it have to take for St Kilda, who we've bemoaned them this year that their offence hasn't been up to AFL standard, or hasn't been modern offence. Why does it take being 45 points down at three-quarter time in round 20 to finally see this?
It's a good question. I think there was a game early on in the year where Geelong game where I sat here and I said if they can play like that all season, they will be a destination club, and we haven't seen it up until then. So I think the question is always, why don't they do that more often? And sometimes you get a little bit of evidence to say, one, positional changes. Like, why do we have to have the wings, right sort of parallel to the centre backs? Why don't we challenge the opposition and
We've thrown up having two wings on one side even.
And see what they do, and then really challenge the opposition.
But the mentality of having nothing to lose too. That frees players up, doesn't it? Naturally, you get into that situation, 46 points down. You don't think you're going to win, so I'll just have a crack at it. And you've got Nas, who could become one of the greatest St Kilda players of all time if they can sign him. But it was a bit like the Michael Jordan days, wasn't it? Just getting into the hands of your best player, which doesn't happen a huge amount in our game. There's 18 players out there. It's hard for one player to influence a game so much in a small matter of time, and that's clearly what we saw.
So off the back of Wanganeen-Milera, performing really well, and you've got to give a shout-out to Chris Tolcho, who sadly passed away, who was the one at St Kilda to pick that. I wonder how he fared in that draft. Like, where was he picked? It's not until you actually punch in the draft. Now, I'd like your opinion, and Bucks, your opinion. I mean, could that draft be better than what we know as the Super Draft?
Well, have a look at those names. I mean, there's a couple that are still yet to come through. Gibcus has obviously had a lot of injuries. Erasmus is a player who I think has been on the cusp for Fremantle but has been unable to break through. But the others, have a look at the top end there. What I want to know is whether the recruiting fraternity went into 21 saying it's not a very good draft, like just to play their picks down. Well, they don't have to, because you look in retrospect, that's a super.
Well, they're all cult figures. Mac Andrews is a cult figure on the Gold Coast. All the kids want selfies with him, but they are household names, those top six especially.
So does it help or hinder St Kilda with the way Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera is playing him now? Because his price is increasing. We are at round 20. He is unsigned. I mean, usually when we get to this position and someone is unsigned, it's trending to they're going to be leaving. They're in the Tom De Koning race. They are the only side that is going for Tom De Koning at $1.8 million.
I think with Nasiah, because he's young, he's going to get paid well wherever he goes. I think there has to be more to his decision rather than...
So it's not money?
Than purely just money. He's going to get paid and paid well. So these types of wins help. The environment helps to keep a player to stay at your football club. The other thing, just to finish off that game, I couldn't help... If St Kilda weren't able to win, you look, Nasiah stuck at full forward. Now, it turned out to be a great decision, but I couldn't help to watch that game back and go, wow, why isn't Nasiah around the ball?
I don't know if he's stuck. He probably put himself there. But
it's decisions.
St Kilda get beaten by 10 goals, or they have a performance like that. They have a performance like that, and he shares those emotions with the teammates he's playing with at the moment. That weds him more to the club than a loss does.
That's going to be... I think the St Kilda fans watch more than anything, and the thing they want more than anything is obviously that signature with Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera.
Well, you can see why.